So we're learning Shali of Tennessee. We're going to start Chesam at Aleph. Neima Hani Tanoi, Kahani Tanoi. It's maybe 12 lines from the top. We had a machlekes Reb Shimon and Reb Yehuda. Machlekes, if we say Tuma is Dechuya, Tuma is Hutra, it's even. That means, do we say that there are no rules of Tuma at all, or do we say that the rules are there? We just they get overruled. So if that's the case, that we have this machlekes of Tumas, Dechuya, or Hutra, so let's say that this machlekes is the same as another machlekes. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Echad zeh v'echad zeh, the kayin gadol on Yom Kippur, and the kayin that burns the para aduma. Mazin alav kol shiva. They do the hazah, which means the sprinkling of the para aduma all 7 days. Mikol chatay shayisham, from all the para adumas, chatay is another term for the para adumas that were there, that were kept. They kept samples of each one. Rashi told us a day or two ago. There were only 9. But Rashi told us that. I'm sorry. So Rashi told us that we had from the original one was still there. So whatever the case is, all 7 days, both Kayin and both the Kayin Gadol, they were sprinkled on all 7 days. Different Reb Meir. That's Reb Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yossi Aimer in Masnol vel Shlishi Ushvi Bilvad. He only needs the 3rd and 7th day. So just do the 3rd and 7th day. Because that's how the Tara takes place for Tumas Meis. It's the 3rd and 7th day. He gets sprinkled on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, and he's Tar. Reb Chanina Skanakainim, he says that he's arguing with Reb Rabbi Yossi. He says, Kayin Aseirif is a para. The Kayin that's burning the para Duma, Mazan Olav Kol Shiva. He gets all 7 days, each of the 7 days. Kayin Gadol be a Mikpur, Mazal Vel Sishu Shvi. But the one for Yom Kippur, the Kayin Gadol, that's only the 3rd and the 7th. The Gemara suggests, concluding what it was introducing here, that my love b'hakim miflagi. Is it not that this is the machlekes? Reb Meir savar Tumah dechuya b'tzibur. Reb Meir holds like Reb Shimon that says Tumah is dechuya. Remember how Reb Shimon said that? He said that Reb Shimon said that the tzitz is the front plate is maratza even if he's not wearing it. And Rabbi Yehuda said, no, it's not necessary, because on Yom Kippur, when you're trying to say that it's maratza, it's hutra. It's not necessary. So Rabbi Shimon held that it was dechuya. So we'll say that Rabbi Meir that says that you have to sprinkle on the Kayin Gadol and on the Kayin Aser for Sapara each one of the 7 days is very strict about Tumah. So therefore he says you try to do everything to avoid Tumah. So that's why you have to sprinkle on each of the 7 days. But Rabbi Yossi that says it doesn't matter, you just do on the 3rd and 7th. He says, yeah, because there's no issue anyway. Because it's hutra. It's community offerings, and there's no problem. Rabbi Yossi Savar, Tuma Hutrahi B'tzibur. Hutra. Hutrahi B'tzibur is another version. So that's what Rabbi Yossi says. You only need the 3rd and the 7th. Okay. The Gemara right away challenges this, that if he holds hutra, then why do you need anything? That would be the logical challenge. But one second, before we get to that challenge, Taisus here has a question. It says, what are we talking about? We're talking about 2 kayanim. One is the Kayin Gadol 7 days before Yom Kippur, and also we're talking about the Kayin Aser for Sapara. Which one is considered tzibur? The Kayin Gadol on Yom Kippur. What about the Paraduma? Why is this 3rd and 7th enough? It's not considered a carbon tzibur regarding Shabbos. You can't do the paraduma on Shabbos. You can't burn it on Shabbos. Doesn't push off Tumah. So you only have half an answer. You only according to Rabbi Yossi, you're telling me that it's not necessary to do all 7 each of the 7 days because it's hutra. But that logic only applies to Yom Kippur. So Taisus answers that the truth is that a tful yaim is kosher for a para anyway, and you really don't need any hazah for the para anyway. So it's just a mila balma. So we're accepting that you really don't need it anyway for the para duma. And you only needed it for Yom Kippur, so we say for Yom Kippur it's not really so strong. The Gemara right away asked, "V'tizbara, do you really think so?" Isav Rabbi Yossi heter b'tzibur. If Rabbi Yossi holds that it's mutter, that there's no laws of tum at all, hazah klal amalis, why do you need any sprinkling? What are you telling me? You only need the third and seventh. You don't need anything. This is another good question. He says that you're only resolving the majority of the sacrifices on Yom Kippur, but you're not resolving one sacrifice, the Riyam of Aaron, which was considered a Karban Yachid. We mentioned it before earlier. So Tosfos says that really he's not tummy anyway. The Kayan. You're just making assumptions here that maybe he got tummy, the tummy that we don't know about, and we're just going to do this. Well, the Riyam of Aaron, even though it's not considered a Karban Sibur, but it's because it's a private offering, but nevertheless, it's enough of a Karban Sibur that it pushes off Shabbos and Tumah as well, at least for this chashash. So we would do the sprinkling, but we're asking over here, you shouldn't need anything. We're asking you shouldn't need anything, even for the Riyam of Aaron. Okay, now the Gemara says, so we're going to go the other way. We're going to say that everyone really holds Tumah is Dechuya. That's why they're sprinkling. Dechuya means that there is really Tumah there. There is the rules of Tumah. You just, it gets overruled, but you try to minimize it as much as possible. Yeah. Postponed. Yeah. The machlekes is as follows. Rabbi Yosef Amrina Tvila Bismana Mitzvah. Rabbi Yossi Savarle Amrina Tvila Bismana Mitzvah. There's a general machlekes. If a person is tummy and they count the amount of days that they need to become tar, do they have to go to the mikveh right away? Is that Tvila Bismana, is that a mitzvah? Or can they go whenever they want? It's machlekes. It's machlekes in Shabbos we had it. Savar Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi Yossi holds. What we're doing is we're saying that since Tvila Bismana Mitzvah, if we would say Tvila Bismana Mitzvah, then each one of these 7 days is potentially the third day. You see, you have to sprinkle on the third day and on the seventh day. So on the first day of the 7 days, whether the Kohen Gadol or the Kohen Aser, it could be that really became Tameh 3 days ago. Could became Tameh 2 days ago. Could became Tameh yesterday. So we count, but let's say it was 3 days ago. So let's sprinkle today on the first day of the 7 days. Well, let's say it became Tameh 2 days ago. Okay, so let's sprinkle on the second day. So each one is potentially because of that Tvila Bismana Mitzvah. So I make these possibilities to do that. And Rabbi Yossi holds, I just need 3 and 7, and I don't have to make these assumptions that maybe it was Tameh yesterday or the day before. Okay. The Gemara asks, does Rabbi Yossi really hold that we don't say tefillah? According to this, Rabbi Yossi comes out holding that we don't hold tefillah bisman mitzvah. Yeah. That we say that you don't have to be taival on exactly the time. But Tanya, but it was taught in a brisa. Let's say someone wrote, the boys in school, they write on their hands sometimes or on their arm, like whatever designs. Not you. So let's say someone wrote Hashem's name on his arm. So Harizala Yerchatz. It's a Mishnah, a Brisa. The Brisa says it's in Masech Sefer. Harizala Yerchatz. You can't wash it. You can't. This Rashi says you can't wash it because you're not allowed to erase Hashem's name. I'm sorry. Got the skin up and then put it in James. Tosfos says Tosfos Yishanim. Yeah, maybe you can't get sweaty. Tosfos Yishanim says the issue isn't the washing of Hashem's name because it's just the grama when you wash. You're not really scrubbing it. You went to the mikveh and it gets wet, whatever. The problem is really that you're not allowed to stand naked. If you're going to bathe, you can't stand naked in front of Hashem's name. Yeah, so you can't put on oil. You can't stand in an area that's dirty. Okay, let's say the person needs to use the mikveh. Tefillah shel mitzvah, whatever it is, I don't know. It wants the truma. So he covers it to protect it from the flow of the water, but water could still get in, and he goes to the mikveh. Rabbi Yossi says, "Yerd v'table kedarkei." You can go down and be table. You don't have to do any of these protections. So eventually you shafshaf, as long as you don't scrub it. The kaimalan, and we've established that. What is this discussion about going to the mikveh? I don't know.
And if the person, no, I'm saying that the money, we don't care about what church or whatever. So it would depend on the feeling. If he doesn't care about these things, so.
I'll tell you, someone told me that someone tattooed the Shema into his chest, but he took the Shema straight from the Siddur, so it has like the notes that says where it's from 3, you left looking. Anyway, he tattooed it straight onto his chest and said, "I'm a Jew." So and also look, they took the Aron out to war, hoping that that would protect them, even though probably doesn't say you're supposed to do that. So he thought he was for sure. If I tattoo this, he's not tattooing; he's just writing it in ink. So, and we said, "That's the machlekes." Tanakama Tanakama says that the mitzvah of going to the mikveh right now is not so strong. I don't take tefillah b'zman mitzvah, so therefore you have to cover it if you're going to go to the mikveh. Rabbi Yossi Savar, tefillah b'zman mitzvah. Rabbi Yossi says no. Going to the mikveh is itself a mitzvah, so you don't have to cover it. You can go to the mikveh. That's overpowers whatever other issues there are. We're concerned. Rashi says that Rabbi Yossi says we're concerned that he may not find the right type of bandage put over it, and he's going to end up delaying going to the mikveh, and so therefore we tell him just go to the mikveh and don't be so frum about finding that bandage. Now, Taisus asks, interesting question. He says it turns out that there's a Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda in Nida that holds tefillah bismana is not a mitzvah. So we could have answered this like this. What are we saying? We're saying there's a machlekes Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Meir about how often you need to sprinkle on the kohen gadol, every day, or the 3rd and the 7th. Rabbi Yossi says the 3rd and the 7th, and because of that, we said Rabbi Yossi holds that we don't say tefillah b'zman mitzvah. So we could have resolved. The. So 1 second. So we said that we bring Rabbi Yossi from another place that says that tefillah b'zman is not a mitzvah. I'm sorry. Rabbi Yossi Bayas says tefillah b'zman is not a mitzvah. We bring Rabbi Yossi from the Gemi, from the writing on the skin, Hashem's name, that tefillah b'zman is yes a mitzvah. Right? So Taisa suggests that maybe we could say that there's a Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda who's not the same Rabbi Yossi. And he's the one that actually holds tefillah b'zmana is not a mitzvah. And Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta, who's the regular Rabbi Yossi, he holds tefillah b'zmana as mitzvah. We have a simple teretz. See that Taisa? And it with both Rabbi Yossi. So Taisa says he can't say that because Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda is not common for him to argue with Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta and Rabbi Meir are friends. They're students of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda is a son of Rabbi Yehuda bar Rabbi Eloi. That's a generation down. So to match that with Rabbi Meir wouldn't fit well. So that's why the Gemara doesn't suggest that. Yeah, no, but the Gemara could have resolved the contradiction in what Rabbi Yossi holds by saying it's a different Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi Druin. Ella the Kuli Alma Lahani Tanoi Yamrin Tefillah B'zman Mitzvah. If that's the case, then we have to say everyone holds Tefillah B'zman Mitzvah. And here is the machlekes. Rabbi Meir savar makshin hazal tefillah. Rabbi Yossi savar le makshin hazal tefillah. See, we're not really actually talking about tefillah, about going to the mikveh. It's true that the person that gets the hazah on him is supposed to go to the mikveh also. It's true. But that's not our discussion. Our discussion is hazah, the sprinkling of the paraduma. We were playing with tefillah bisman mitzvah as if that's what we're talking about. I'm really talking about hazah. The question is, do we compare hazah to tefillah? Everyone holds hazah, tefillah bisman is a mitzvah. You're supposed to go to the mikveh on the day that you're supposed to go. Now the question is, do you have to do hazah on that day as well? So Reb Meir holds yes, and Reb Yossi holds no, even though they both hold tefillah bisman mitzvah. Rabbi Chanina's Kanakayanim, we have a problem with. Rabbi Chanina's Kanakayanim, if he does the comparison that the sprinkling is exactly like the tefillah, and then he has to do the sprinkling on the correct day, Afila Kain Gadol be a mikvah nami. So then the Kain Gadol on Yom Kippur also needs to have the sprinkling on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He doesn't say that. He just says on the 3rd and the 7th. If he doesn't do the comparison, so Afila Kain Aserif is a paranamilai, then the Kain that burns the paraduma also doesn't need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He only needs 3 and 7. Gemara says the Yolam le Makish. Really, he doesn't do the comparison. The Kain Aserif is a paramaila ba'alma. That's just an extra thing that we do. Remember, we said that the Tzedukim held that you need that it can't be a Kain that didn't wait till nightfall. So we specifically use a Kain that didn't wait till nightfall just to show that we don't hold like them. And because of that, we did extra things. So one of the extra things that we do is we also sprinkle on him from the paraduma for all 7 days.
This opinion of Rabbi Yossi that the sprinkling is just on the 3rd and the 7th, this is a complication. Does he say his source?
The 3rd and 7th doesn't actually need a source. The 3rd and 7th, I mean, there's the pasuk. The pasuk says, "V'chibes." I'm sorry. V'hize hatar al tamei b'yem hashlishi b'yem hashvi. V'chitzi b'yem hashvi. V'chibes b'gad brachot b'yem hatar be'erev. So the pasuk says it's the 3rd and 7th. We have. What are we doing over here with first, second, 3rd, 4th? What are we doing with all of that? That's just a possibility that maybe the first day is really the 3rd day, and it's a huge chumrah because we don't even know that there was tumah at all. So just to get rid of the tumah, we could do the 3rd and 7th. We're making it as if there was for sure tumah on the yesterday and the day before, and we're getting rid of all of those. Right. Okay. The Gemara now quotes a brisa. Kaman azla hadatana rabbanon. According to whom does the following brisa go? The brisa says like this: Ein bein kayin aserif esapara lekayin gadol b'yom kippurim. There's no difference between the kayin aserif esapara and the kayin gadol on Yom Kippur. Ella, rather, shezeh prishasei lekedusha ve'echav hakainim noigim bay, v'zeh prishasei letara ve'echav hakainim noigim bay. There's a difference. This one is being separated to go into Machane Shechina. So therefore, we don't want him to have any kalas reish, any lightheadedness. But nevertheless, his brothers are allowed to touch him. This one is being separated for tahara.
That's when it says touching for a purpose, or just
It doesn't matter. They can touch him. It's the other one that's the big deal. This one is Pirish Litara, and we're talking about the one that's for the Paraduma, and his brothers are not allowed to touch him. That's the point. They're not allowed to touch him because they're trying to make him tar. They wouldn't want anyone to come in contact with him. Now, so who does this brisa go with? We said that there's no difference between these two kayanim, Kayin Gadol and the Kayin Aserif Sapara. The only difference is one difference is that this one the brothers can touch and this one the brothers can't touch. And one's Prishasa Kedusha, one's Prishasa Latara, and then what comes out of that is this. Who does that fit with? Come on, like who? Reb Meir, Reb Yossi can only go with Reb Meir, Reb Yossi. Why? Reb Chanina Skanakainim, Ekanami Ha. Reb Chanina Skanakainim said that on the Kayan Gadol before Yom Kippur, you sprinkle on the 3rd and the 7th. And the Kayan Haser Fesapar, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So why does the Bryce only tell me that there's only one slight difference about brothers touching him or not? According to Reb Chanina Skana Kainim, there's a huge difference. Do you sprinkle all 7 days or just the 3rd and 7th? It can't be Reb Chanina Skana Kainim. Tosfos asks a nice question.
Is this the first? Is this the first time you mentioned Bishra the Kedusha, Bishra the Tara as a concept?
Yeah. You'll see in Tosfos that it's an interesting point over here. Tosfos starts off his question with, I don't understand this brisa because there's a big difference between the Kayan Haser Fesapar and the Kayan Gadol on Yom Kippur. What the difference is that this one, the Kayan Gadol before Yom Kippur, goes to Lishkas Parhedrin, that special chamber that he went to. The Kayan Haser Fesapara went to the chamber that's Lishka Shalabira, went to a different room. What's the brisa saying? There's another difference. So he says that that's not a significant difference. Another pshat, that when we said that Zeh Pirish L'Kedusha and Zeh Pirish L'Tara, that's what we meant. I was making it that Kedusha meant that the brothers can still touch him. L'Tara means the brothers can't touch. No, that's a separate item. Zeh Pirish L'Kedusha means that he goes to the Beis Hamikdash proper. Zeh Pirish L'Tara means he only goes to the Harabayas. And those are the different rooms. Then Tosfos goes through a whole discussion about how he's allowed to be sitting in this room if it's in the Beis Hamikdash proper. Is it because the door is going to the outside, or is it because the door is to the inside, but the room is on the outside? And if that's the case, if it's really Kedusha, why should he be allowed to sit there? Okay, that's a discussion in this text. Maskefla Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina asks a question. Bishlam Rishain, why did they do the sprinkling on the first day? According to Reb Meir and according to Reb Chanina Skana Kayanim, you have to do sprinkling all 7 days. Why the first day? The Shema Shlishi. Maybe the first day is actually the 3rd day to when the person came in contact with the corpse. So he's Tameh already for 3 days. And now you can start the purification process. On the 3rd day, you can get the first sprinkling. Sheni, what about the 2nd day? Shema Shlishi. Maybe it was the 3rd day. 2 days ago, or 3 days from the 2nd day, it's really the 3rd day. Shlishi, Shema Shlishi. The 3rd day was maybe it's the 3rd day because he touched something right before he came to be separated. Chamishi, we skipped the 4th. Chamishi, Shema Shvi. Well, if the first day was the 3rd day, so then we'll do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 5th day is really the 7th day from the 3rd day. So the 5th day makes sense to sprinkle again. You're getting rid of the tumah. Shishi, Shema Shvi. The 6th day is maybe the 7th day also from the 2nd day. And Shvi, Shema Shvi, and the 7th day is maybe the 7th day because it was started on the beginning. El Revi, Lamali Azah Klal, but why do they sprinkle on the 4th day? It's definitely not the 3rd day because he's already been separated for 3 days. It can't be the 3rd day. And there's no problem. It's not the 3rd day and it's not the 7th day. The 4th day is in the middle. So the Gemara asks the question back. According to you, do you anyway sprinkle all 7th? But Kaimalan, we've already established that that you're not allowed to sprinkle the water on Shabbos. So you're anyways missing a day. You're anyways missing a day because you can't do it on Shabbos. You have to say that when you said 7, you didn't really mean 7. You meant all the days except for Shabbos. So if that's what you meant, all the days except for Shabbos, we said 7 besides for the 4th. We didn't get so specific. We didn't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We did 7, and but you missed one day, either Shabbos or the 4th day, or both. Amarava, Rava says based on this, Hilkach Kohen Gadol b'Yom Kippurim, when it comes to the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, the Leibedi dan Talia Milsa. we don't establish what day of the week. Well, we do, but not directly. Which day of the week Yom Kippur is going to be. So therefore, when does he separate? Ela b'kriya diyarcha. It has to do with the month. So Talia, the Yarcha Talia Milsa. So Betlasa B'Tisha B'Elafush. You have to separate him on the 3rd of Tisha, which means Sim Gedalia. Maybe that's another reason for the fast. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but he separated on the 3rd day, and then we can't tell us which day of the week that's going to be. So on the 4th, they don't sprinkle on him. We're talking about in Rav Meir's opinion. And on Shabbos, they don't sprinkle on him. Whichever day of the week that falls on, they separate it. But when it comes to the kayin that's burning the para, what day does he burn the para? So this is like preparing for a wedding. What day of the week do you do it? To be done Talia Milsa, whichever day you want. So Mafreshin Labor Revi B'Shabbos, they do it on a Wednesday. That's when the tickets are cheaper, the flights are. So so that's way, if they do it on a Wednesday, they separate it on a Wednesday. So then the 4th day is going to be Shabbos, and you don't sprinkle on the 4th, and you don't sprinkle on Shabbos, so that works out perfectly. Even for B'chnius Kanakainim, it says, right, that you have to sprinkle. So, or Rav Meir, you only have one day off. Okay. And now the Gemara says, we're going back to explain the Mishnah, Lishkas Parhedrin. It says he was separated to the Lishkas Parhedrin. Parhedrin is some sort of Greek or Roman council that they're elected every year. Is that how it works? How long were they elected in the senators? Didn't they have these fellows that were in power for 5 years? Was that Daniel? How was it in Rome? How long were the people elected for? I thought that the people that were like those what was the highest position? Okay, so Lishkas Parhedrin, with these apparently elected officials, they were elected for a year. So that room is called the room of these elected officials. Tanya, started in the Brisa, Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. It's missing a word in my Gemara. The Chilishkas Parhedrin Haisa. Was it actually the room of the Parhedrin? Chilishkas Balvati Haisa. Balvati is another type of official. But how do they translate Balvati then? I don't know. It's a Greek word.
Did they have one during the Vice?
Yeah, there was. So originally it was called, but what we're saying is aristocrats. Okay. It was the Balvati, was the aristocrats' room. Originally they called it the Balvati, the aristocrats. But because in the second base of Migdash, people would buy their way into office. And they would switch them every 12 months. So Parhedrin Halalu, they switched it. They were like the Parhedrin, which are elected officials every 12 months. So that's why they're called Parhedrin, which means these elected officials.
So really,
I think this Balvati was a community council.
Oh.
And their main job was to determine the amount of taxes that people should pay. But there was a big downside to it. And the downside was that if enough taxes weren't collected, the government took it out of the people in the Bulati. Somewhere in the Gemara, there's somebody who says if you're elected to Bulati, you should move to Jordan. Because it was an honor that wasn't really an honor. That's who they were.
So why would they switch every year? So Rashi says that they were wicked. We're talking about the Kainim Gedalim, that they were wicked and they wouldn't survive the year, right? That's what we heard. And then he adds in something interesting. He says this: every time they came into office, they would demolish this room and rebuild it nicer than beforehand, so that they should have. I don't want that old guy's suite. Yeah, I want to redo it. So they would renovate. They would renovate this the suite. So that's why the room would be changed every year. We'd have renovations every year. Okay, let's leave it over here.
Good job, everybody.